I've spent the past few days digging through iOS 17, and in this video I want to show you more than 40 hidden features and other secrets that Apple hasn't talked about. Some of these are actually things we've been asking for a decade, and I can't believe they're finally here. So if you're excited for this one, drop a like down below, and of course hit subscribe so you always stay up to date. Alright, first up, I had to start here with multiple timers. I can't believe it took this long to get these in iOS, but as you can see, you can tap around and add as many timers as you want. And there's actually more detail than this as well. You can tap on one and even add a label so you know exactly what it's for. That way, if you view them in a list, you know exactly what timer is for what thing. Next up, in Safari, Apple has finally locked down private browsing. So now when you try to view somebody's private browsing tabs, you have to go through an additional step of unlocking it with Face ID. So if I go ahead and do that, you can see it's the same UI and interface that we've had before. It's just now actually private. And on top of that, if you head over to settings, you can now set a separate search engine just for your private browsing. So if you want to use something even more private than Google, like DuckDuckGo, you can have that just for private, but something else for regular browsing. And while we're in settings, let's take a look at all the new wallpapers. Of course, we've got the standard iOS 17 wallpaper, but Apple's made some improvements to others. Like specifically, if you find the astronomy view. Right here, you used to only have the moon and a couple other planets, but now you have every single planet in the solar system. On top of the new planets, though, there's also an entirely new Kaleidoscope option. Apple's added so many different varieties in here. You can swipe through all of them, and it seems like they actually put quite a bit of work into making these. And once you found one that you like, you can now adjust the font size, which is the first time you've ever been able to do this in iOS. You can even adjust the font as well. There are a couple of additional options in here, but now you can make it as thin or as thick as you'd like, which really makes it feel more personal. Now, moving back to the home screen, widgets have been a huge part of iOS for a few years now, but they simply just allow you to tap on them and then expand into the app. But now in iOS 17, they are interactive. So there are live widgets. If you want to check something off, you can do that straight from the home screen. They are interactive for the first time ever. Now, it does seem like it's only reminders, home, and music right now, but just being able to hit play on the music widget and hear something happen, you don't have to go into the app for the first time ever, and it makes working so much more efficient. And iOS 17 has also added a new Safari widget for the first time. There's 3 different options, and they are all for the reading list. But if you've ever wanted to see this on your home screen, that's here in iOS 17. Now, let's say you're in the middle of rearranging your home screen, you move an icon over here, and then you regret it. Well, now in iOS 17, you can shake to undo that, and it will allow you to move the app back to the previous page. Now, this could happen if you're rearranging a lot of apps at once. You could all send them back and go back to what you had. In the iOS 17 App Store, not only do you have the same download indicator that you've had for a while, it now gives you an actual time estimate depending on your internet speed. Before, it would just give you that circle and you'd kind of have to guess, but now you know, oh, I'm going to be here for 3 minutes before this finishes downloading, and it actually seems to be quite accurate. And while we're talking about hidden features, I want to tell you about Casecoo, who sponsored today's video. Casecoo is becoming really well known for their Magic Stand series, which has a built-in flip-out magnetic ring built into the MagSafe logo. It's on the back of the phone. Not only do the cases look really sharp, they're super slim and protective. This design allows you to prop up your phone wherever you want in horizontal or landscape mode for FaceTime calls, watching videos. This is just one of those ideas I wish I had thought of myself. So check out Casecoo down below in the description for a special offer. I've been working with them for some time now, and it's the phone case I've been rocking on my phone every single day. So thanks again to Casecoo. Now let's get back to the software. Moving on to the camera app in iOS 17, it looks pretty much identical, but if you head over to settings, go to the camera options, there's a new option for a level. So when you turn this on, you can finally go into camera, and if you hold your phone straight, it won't show up in most angles, but if you try to get that exact straight shot, it appears automatically using the gyroscope, and it allows you to get pretty accurate. In the iOS 17 Messages app, searching is completely revamped. You now have messages filters, which means you can now search for specific messages just from one contact, making it so much faster to find what you're looking for. Probably one of my favorite features in iOS 17 is the ability to add a sticker that is your own. So if you just tap and hold on something like that, it will automatically go into your messages drawer. Now, whenever you are in the Messages app, you tap right here, you can go over, find your stickers just like that, and it works ridiculously well. Like, I don't know how Apple's machine learning is this good, but it almost looks like a perfect cutout of me. And there's also been some controversy about this new section over here in the Messages app, but for example, if there's something that you really like, you can tap and hold and move it up here to wherever you want. There's actually quite a bit of customization in this area. You can drag things around. It's not actually as stationary as it looks. Now, also in Messages, Apple's added a few new Memoji stickers, including Halo, Peekaboo, and Smirk, and That one, I feel like that one should be illegal. If you have a pair of AirPods and you've ever tried to check the battery level, you've probably seen this UI before where it shows up in a bright white box. But now in iOS 17, it supports dark mode for the first time ever. So now when you try to check the battery level of your AirPods at night, it's not going to burn out your retinas, and it also looks super fresh. Also, if you have AirPods, you can now upload the beta firmware to these if you're a developer straight from your iPhone. You don't have to go to your computer. Next up, in the iOS 17 News app, Apple says they've added new daily crossword puzzles, but in this first beta, it doesn't look like they are here just yet, and I just subscribed to News for $9.99 a month, so I really hope they add it soon. And while we're on the topic of Apple subscriptions, we should talk about the new Fitness Plus, which allows you to build a custom plan. Now, obviously, you have to be subscribed, but you could say exactly what days you want to work out and when, and even pick the specific routine. Now, if you have an iPhone 14 Pro, you're probably disappointed to see that Apple didn't do a ton with the dynamic island in iOS 17. However, there are a couple new things that use it, like the Shazam integration that now comes down as a notification from the island, and you can even tap and hold to see the progress or if it discovers any songs that are playing. But I hope Apple builds this out to more apps. Moving on to the Notes app in iOS 17, Apple's added a few nice things in here. First of all, there's a new block quote button at the bottom, so you can add larger blocks of text that will stand out in your document. Next up, iOS 17 is also said to automatically organize and separate your grocery list into different sections, but that doesn't seem to be enabled quite yet. And probably my favorite in Notes, there have been some upgrades to markup. So not only are there a couple of new tools here that we haven't had before, it should make drawing in general, like on specifically the iPad, way better than what we had before. I love Apple expanding markup. It's something I use all the time. In FaceTime and iOS 17, there are some new effects that you can use while you're talking. It's going to use augmented reality and detect hand gestures with AI, so you can do things like hearts or fireworks or confetti. I haven't been able to test this out just yet, but it looks super cool. I think it's going to add so much chaos to your FaceTimes. Moving on now to the Health app in iOS 17. It has a nice UI that Apple's updated here with some more colors, but if you scroll down to something like your medications, you can now get notification follow-up reminders. When you have this enabled, it's going to give you an additional pop-up 30 minutes after the scheduled time, and you can even add critical alerts. For example, if there's meds that you could not miss and absolutely have to take, you can do that here, and it will make sure to do its best job that it can to tell you to take your meds. Following that, auto verification codes that come through SMS have been a lifesaver on your iPhone, but now in iOS 17, you can get the same thing via email. So many companies still don't do SMS verification codes, and now in iOS 17, it will autofill in the same area codes you get in your email, which is incredible. Apple didn't talk a ton about AirPlay in iOS 17, but there have been some updates, like specifically it will have a new pop-up right here when you're trying to play something, and Apple says that it will learn over time common pairings or setups that you use. So for example, I do usually like to play it throughout my entire home, so my iPhone by default is going to start suggesting to pair all of my speakers rather than having to select them manually. In the Maps app in iOS 17, Apple added one of the most highly requested features of all time, which is the ability to download maps offline. Now, it will automatically suggest maps like your current location, but you can download these anywhere. For example, if I want to download Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, I can just hit download it just like that, and it will now be on my iPhone even without cell service. And if you ever want to readjust how it looks or resize it, you can do the same thing. Just go ahead and zoom out. You can get an even larger area just like that. Obviously, the bigger the zoom though, the more data it will take up. Maps in iOS 17 also improves EV routing with new options above, and you can even see availability for different chargers, which is incredibly useful. Next up in the Photo app, Apple's made a lot of adjustments, but maybe my favorite is this one right here where you can just zoom to crop an image and then it's done. You no longer have to tap edit or do something else, which is going to make, I don't know, specific workflows so much faster to just zoom and do it. The rest of the story for the Photos app though lives right here with this new option called Visual Lookup. They can identify people, animals, and so much more. It'll tell you exactly where this image was captured per usual, but it knows without me even telling it, I don't know how it does this, that this is a beagle breed of dog. And when you tap on this, it will give you additional information about this dog breed, which is insane. Like, this isn't even like a great photo of Winnie, and it somehow already knows that this is a beagle. It's really cool and powerful, and you can use this for other things like food and dishes. iOS 17, it's crazy powerful. Visual Lookup also just works if you tap and hold on an object. You can look it up directly from this menu, and again, it'll give you similar results depending on what the photo is of. Oh, and also, just like you've been able to label people for a while in iOS, now you can label animals as well and get them saved right up with everyone else, which is pretty cool. Look, this pet is now named Winnie, and all these different pictures of this dog they're gonna show up. It's really cute. Moving on to Spotlight Search in iOS 17, it has gotten significantly more powerful with the ability to adjust toggles directly from here. Now you can turn off Wi-Fi just like that from Spotlight Search. You no longer have to go into settings to do it, although you can if you tap right there. And for other options too, there are simply richer results that will take you exactly where you need to go. This one is huge in iOS 17. You can finally share AirTags with other people. We've been asking for this for so long, and now you'll be able to find AirTags more easily if they get lost and just give access to your personal items to other people that you choose. This is amazing. One of the best features on the Apple Watch is, of course, the ability to ping your iPhone when you don't know where it's at. But what if you've lost your watch? Well, in iOS 17, there is a new control center toggle to do just that. If you tap on ping my watch, it now plays the exact same sound out of your Apple Watch. Now, this next one's kind of hard to demo, so let me just show you how it works. Siri, how's the weather? Takes just a second. And you can ask follow-ups. Is it going to be hot next week? So as you can see right there, you did not have to say Siri or invoke it anymore. You can now ask follow-ups way more naturally without having to not only say hey, but even say the word Siri again. And I will say the detection for it just being the word Siri does seem pretty good and consistent. Moving on from that, iOS 17 does add the cool new contact card UI, but there's also the ability inside of contacts now to add someone's pronouns. You can see Apple shows you have the she, her, and hers delineation, and it's going to be really helpful either as yourself to share your pronouns or manually put these in for others. All right, next up, this one's pretty cool. So if you change your password in iOS 17, right, you now have the ability to use the old password for up to 72 hours. So let's say you change it and then you lock your phone and you're like, oh, wait, what was the password? I don't remember what I changed it to. Now you can simply get into your phone by using the old password as well as the new one. And listen, if hearing that sounds concerning, I had the same thought. Wait, now there's 2 different passcodes for up to 3 days that someone can gain access to my phone. Don't worry, you can expire the old passcode right now. So there you go. Now you're back to just one passcode. This is just a convenience, people, so folks don't get locked out of their phone. The weather app in iOS 17 is largely the same as it was in iOS 16, but now there is a new moon phases section, which is surprisingly detailed. There's a lot of data in here. You can see the exact moon phase calendar. This is all built into the stock weather app, which is small, but for some people, I think this is going to be a pretty big feature. And finally, rounding out this video, I wanted to end it on something fun. There are some new animations for sliders. This is a really small touch in iOS 17, but these now bounce up and down depending on how you play with them. And again, it doesn't actually add any functionality, but it just makes the operating system feel more fun and alive. And that's really all I want from iOS 17, which I think Apple did deliver on. So let me know which hidden feature or secret was your favorite down below in the comments. I think Apple did an awesome job on this update, and I can't wait to see how this develops throughout the next couple of months. So if you enjoyed it, drop a like down below, hit subscribe for more videos like this. I've been Sam, and I will catch you in my next one. Peace.